We've heard the talk that there's one single path to success and happiness. Go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, graduate to get a job, find your partner, get promoted, buy a car, buy a home, and one day you'll be happy. I followed that path. And through all the trials and tribulations, the financial disasters and successes, I realized that discussion about life milestones was actually a discussion about money. So why is it that we talk a lot about achieving all these things in life, but we avoid the conversation that runs it? Money. So it asked the question, why is it that we are taught how to calculate the area of a triangle, but not the power of compounding interest? Why are we taught history and chemistry, but not how the banking and investing works? Why is it that the topic of money that impacts our ability to live our best lives is often avoided? We're having these conversations about money already with the clothes we wear, the cars we drive, the homes we live in, and the photos we share on social media. Why financial education? Because financial education means knowledge is power. Financial knowledge is life-changing. Financial knowledge empowered me to get from where I was to where I am today. I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I lived in 7 different houses before I graduated high school. I amassed $50,000 of student loan debt. I was able to make 6 figures, and while I was making 6 figures, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. But I realized through financial knowledge that there was always a way out, that I could pick myself out and continue to keep moving and going. And so that's what I'm here today, to break the social taboo about money with you. So I want to start off first with this statement: money is. Money is. Money is power. Money is evil. Money makes me feel good. Money is something that is necessary or needed. Money is. How you complete this statement says a lot about your relationship with money. And not that any of those answers are wrong, but quite simply, money is a tool we need, and a tool we need to master in order for us to achieve our best lives. And more often than not, we think of money as much more than a tool. But this is a tool that we need in order to build the life that we dream of and the life that would make us proud. So here's the thing. When it comes to money, everyone assumes that it's very complicated. But there are simple truths when it comes to money. There are 5 things. Save more than you spend. Invest early and frequently. Pay off debt and use credit sparingly. Build assets and have multiple and passive income. Quite simple, quite easy. But why is it that we have a hard time following these simple rules? It's because it's our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts that hamper our ability to manage money well. When we are run by our relationship with money, whether they're good or bad, we're unable to make or do any of these simple things that can help us achieve our goals, help us achieve those life milestones, and live our best lives. So in 2015, I wanted to take this concept to break the social taboo about money and go on an epic journey. I called it the road to financial wellness. I took my team through 30 states. We hosted 37 events attended by over 8,000 people. We spent 30 days on the road breaking that taboo, turning local money discussions into a national conversation on financial well-being. It was a complete success. We actually had events where people were lining around the corner. In New York City, we had to turn people away because we were at capacity. I want you to think about that. A financial education-centric event, and there are people lining around the block. People were being turned away because it was packed. This message about financial well-being, this message about money and well-being, financial wellness, empowers individual. It ignites curiosity when it comes to this fairly misunderstood concept that it's boring or it's not sexy enough to warrant our time. So we held events in different places around the country, bars, restaurants, because I'm sure you've either bought your friends drinks or you've split a tab where you only had a salad and you had a friend who had an appetizer, a dinner, and a dessert. You see, you were having a money conversation at that one point. We've held events at church basements, at credit union branch locations, at a yoga studio. And we talked about money in a planetarium underneath a projected starlit sky. We also talked about budgets while we drank beers and bowled. So it was a complete success, and I found myself doing an encore trip. I said I doubled up, and I'm gonna go ahead and continue to break the social taboo about money, and I went on a second road trip where we held 54 events attended by over 10,000 people. I worked with state agencies, credit unions, fintech startups, personal finance bloggers, social media influencers, CFPs, AFCs, all who believed in my philosophy that experiential and purposeful living can be achieved through sound financial decision making. So, why financial wellness? Financial wellness is about your health. It's about your wealth. It's about the overall quality of the life that you are living. It's not just about financial goals, it's about life goals. You see, the centrality of financial wellness is that money isn't everything, but money impacts most things. And it's important for us to understand that. So I want to do a little exercise here. I want you all to envision your dream lifestyle. Close your eyes. Let's take a moment. I want you to ask yourself this question: what brings joy and happiness into my life? Take a moment. You can open your eyes now. For many of you, you might have started thinking about your financial situation. My student loan debt. My car payment is due. I have debt collectors calling me. I need to take care of my aging parents. I have healthcare bills. Chances are, if you're thinking about your financial situation, you're unable to think about your dream lifestyle. So it's important for us to continue the conversation, ask this follow-up question: if I had no income goals, debt, or financial obligations, how would I spend my time? Time is the most valuable asset that we possess. How we spend our time says a lot about our values. And guess what? Most of us exchange our time for a paycheck. We work 40 hours a week to get a paycheck. And what happens? We're spending that paycheck on things that do not matter. And when we're spending our paycheck on things that do not matter, we're wasting our time. Therefore, we're wasting our life. So I grew up, and I go around the country. Everyone assumed that I did grow up, that I knew everything about money. That my parents must have sat me down at the age of 2 to say, this is how money works. Or I happen to come from a family that's extremely wealthy, and I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth. That wasn't the case. In fact, it was easier for my parents to talk about religion, politics, and the birds and the bees than it was to talk about money. My parents were hardworking. They made sure we had food on the table, a roof over our heads, and clothes to wear. But they did not want us to think about money or have that discussion. Therefore, that was a disservice. And to this day, I still remember the first time I ever had a money conversation. I was 17. My parents sat me down and said, Jason, we can't afford to send you to school. I was devastated. I thought I did all the right things. I did well at school. I was class president. I played sports. I volunteered. I thought I was on that path until that fateful day. So when my friends were all out leaving fall semester to go to college, I found myself working in Newark Airport. I was cleaning toilets, serving drinks, trying to save up enough money in order for me to afford my first year in school. I still remember the first day, my first paycheck in my hand, I stared at it because I said, I have my own money. Well, I didn't go to my parents to ask them what to do with it. I ran to the bank around the corner to get a debit card because I thought to be an adult, I needed a debit card. Well, I got that debit card. Swipe, 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 pin, pin, pin. I paid more in non-sufficient fund fees than I ever had in a savings account. And when I could afford my first year in college, I saw someone that looked like a college student on campus handing out Frisbees. I said, I want a Frisbee. Well, he said, sign on the dotted line. I signed on the dotted line. Well, I got that Frisbee. I got to enjoy it on campus for the whole entire day. Well, guess what arrived in the mail? A credit card with a $500 credit limit. I was working so I can afford the minimum monthly payments, and I was rewarded with an ever-increasing credit line. So by the time I graduated college, that $500 credit limit turned into a $5,000 balance. And for the life of me, I cannot recall what I spent with that $5,000, but I remember that Frisbee. That is my $5,000 Frisbee story. Growing up, I thought then that money was the answer to all my problems. So instead of chasing purpose, I chased money. I went into Rutgers School to be a filmmaker, and I graduated with a finance degree from Rutgers Business School. I left the airport, went into banking. I went from being a teller, 4 years later, VP of Marketing and Business Development. I moved from New Jersey to Silicon Valley, one of the most expensive places to live. I thought I made it. I lived in Palo Alto. I had 2 cars, a motorcycle, a pedal bike. I had a closet that was larger than the bedroom I once shared with my 2 brothers. I had clothes in that closet with their tags still on it. And one day I woke up and said, is this it? And then there was a moment where my boss sat me down, my CEO, and said, Jason, we're selecting you to be the successor CEO of this organization. Before the age of 30, I was going to be CEO of a company in Silicon Valley. Well, what do you think I said in response? I actually resigned instead. And I found myself backpacking around the world. I went through 20 countries in 12 months. I went through Southeast Asia, Central America, Western Europe. I was having conversations with people who were saying, you're American. You're so lucky. It's the land of opportunity. The streets are paved with gold. But I knew the realities back home, whether you're making $35,000 or $100,000. Chances are, if you do not have access to the right products, services, and tools, or the right conversations with the right individuals, you weren't making the right financial decisions. So here I am, sitting on top of an 8th century temple in Bagan, Myanmar, a country I never heard of. That was a moment where I said to myself, I'm living my dreams. Where is everyone else? Not that I wanted anyone else sitting next to me because it was quite peaceful and calm, But it was that moment I realized, how can I empower my generation, my community, to achieve their dreams? So armed with that, I started blogging because my friends and family wanted to know, what am I going to do with my life when I returned back to the US? So that goal, again, was to provide access and information, to be open about my story, to be authentic, to be transparent. And one of my last stops, I was here in the Philippines, and I realized that the secret to financial wellness and well-being is having a vision for our lives. And that vision can change. And our vision is our hopes, our dreams, our thoughts, and our feelings. It is important when we're talking about money. In addition, we need to clarify our values. And yes, we need a financial plan in order to do so. And I want to close off that in the last country I went to, Indonesia, I found this temple called Borobudur. It was beautiful. At 5 in the morning, I made sure I made this trek to this ancient temple. I went around 12 times because that's what you're supposed to do. I remember standing there, staring out into the mountain range and seeing the morning dew. I was like, wow, I can be here forever. Well, until that silence was disrupted when 2 other backpackers said, this is the same thing over and over and over again. When are we going to leave? And that's when I realized that we could be hearing or seeing or experiencing the same thing, but how we're perceiving it could be quite drastically different. And so here you are, listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth, seeing the slides that are being projected on the screen, and how you're perceiving it could be quite and vastly different from the person sitting next to you. And what I learned that day was that our perception is what matters, and that we can change our perspective. And when it comes to money, we can do so by openly talking and being transparent about our financial situation. Because when we're transparent and open, and we start sharing our financial stories of success and failure, we give hope out to others. And hope is hearing other people's experiences. Our ability to share, our desire to give the information or our experiences out to others empowers individuals because they realize that their situation isn't dire, that there is a solution. And I challenge you today to break the social taboo about money. Free yourself from any shame, guilt, or judgment you've had about your finances. Give hope to others and hope to yourself. And believe that knowledge is power, and financial knowledge is life-changing. Thank you.